in our interview section. The coronavirus pandemic has changed the way we communicate. This means PR companies have to find new ways to reach their audiences. Patrick Gearing is the CEO of Meropa Communications, a PR firm recognized by the Holmes Report as one of the 250 best in the world and the only South African PR company to make the list. He's here to talk about the impact of the coronavirus on his industry. Patrick, thank you for joining us. I'd like to start by asking you, when we look at the coronavirus and the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you see corporate South Africa having dealt with this? Have they done the communications around this correctly? And what sort of advice would you have had for corporate clients?
Corporates have had an enormous challenge trying to navigate their communications around this. It's a fine balance between how overt are you and therefore cheesy versus how do you grapple with or grab the opportunity of being authentic and build a whole lot of brand trust in the way that you communicate your brand. So clearly it's not a time to sell, but it is an enormous opportunity to really build some brand equity. And audiences are going to remember how brands behaved in this time. But the danger of it is that everybody just does the vanilla same thing. We're safe, we're healthy, we're clean, we're doing this, we support the government, and that's all just doesn't really help. So the real trick of, I think, the corporates who have stood out in this time are the ones who've really differentiated their message and been able to break through the clutter and really stand out. And there have been, I think, really good successes of that, and I think spectacular fails as well.
So would you say the coronavirus has affected the communications industry? Will it ever be the same again? Or do you think it's just sort of like having to deal with what's coming next?
So behaviors have certainly changed. The way that audiences consume messages have changed. But they still want stories. And the crux of it is that storytelling doesn't go away. They might be even hungrier now for stories because we're inclusive beings as humans. We're going to be affected and we are missing the social interactions. But we have more time to engage with information. And so audiences, I think, are taking on an enormous amount more information. There are loads of online channels. Social media is enormously prevalent. Therein lies a challenge. Yeah. How to differentiate between what's true and what's not.
So how has all of this lockdown, coronavirus, COVID-19 affected Meropa and your operations?
We're still doing the same thing. Our business hasn't changed. How we do it is vastly different. Of course. And we're fortunate to be able to continue working remotely where technology is a win for us. And I think, if anything, we've discovered what we thought we could never do. I think businesses, all organizations have been talking about the remote working thing and flexi hours and the millennials of all these demands. And suddenly we've been forced to do it. And we've proven that we can.
And I suppose, in essence, what you're sort of getting at here is that, adjusting to the new normal is something that people have to acclimatize to. So would you say that perhaps the way the business runs at the moment is also trying to stick to what your general principles are of how communication works, but also trying to be sort of front runners in a way in terms of making it work well. So, practicing social distancing, how the office environment works, and then how do you interact with your clients?
Storytelling, communication it's a people's game, and that's, I think, been the most challenging thing for us. It's difficult to grapple with a story, to make it as engaging as you possibly can without that brainstorming, that human interaction, that real creative stimulation of what makes our content great. The story we tell is the same, we're just going to tell it in different places and at potentially different times in possibly a different way. But ultimately, we still got to make it appealing for audiences to want to engage with.
Thank you so much, Patrick.